You know, about 10 years ago, we were absolutely stunned by the arrival of 8-inch touchscreens into high-end luxury cars. Fast forward another 5 years in 2017, and we saw the arrival of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration, which meant you can control your smartphone safely whilst driving. How good is that? Fast forward to now, in 2022, and I'm sitting in the all-new Mercedes-Benz EQS 53, which has a 56-inch infotainment system with 3 screens, 2 different types, stacks of artificial intelligence to run it, and possibly the most incredible sound system I've ever heard in a production car. Mercedes-Benz call it the Hyperscreen, and what we're going to do today is scratch beneath the surface to see if it's a gimmick or possibly the best infotainment system on the market today. Let's find out. Before we get stuck in and start fiddling around with the Hyperscreen, let's understand the technical aspects as to what makes it great. What I have in front of me are 3 different screens, a 12.3-inch LED display in front of the driver and a 17-inch and another 12.3-inch OLED displays for the passenger and central screen. What are OLEDs, you ask? They are self-luminous pixels, which means when they want to display black, they simply turn off and do not suffer from a backlight which gives you a washed out grey. It results in an epic contrast ratio that looks like a TV. And if you're wondering why it does look familiar to a TV, that's because this whole panel is actually made by Korean giant LG, masters of OLED technology. When Mercedes-Benz wanted the best in their car, they didn't reinvent the wheel, they simply organised the best to make it for them. So these 3 displays are mounted underneath a piece of aluminium silicate glass, which is a particular type of material that's scratch resistant from rings and reduces fingerprints too. Let's be honest, Mercedes-Benz knew everyone was going to be touching this screen, so they were well ahead of the game in terms of its fundamental technical construction. And now we understand the technical aspects of what makes the Hyperscreen great, let's have a bit of a poke about from the passenger seat. Over on the passenger side, you pretty much have your own infotainment system to yourself. You start by logging in with your profile, and then you can pick between heaps of options about what you wish to change or what you wish to do. Over in comfort, we can pick between different massage profiles, deep workout, activating, mobilizing massage. You can configure the seat kinetics, the lumbar support, or even adjust the ambient lighting to annoy the driver. If you want to, you can even keep tabs on what the driver is doing by monitoring engine performance, vehicle data, and just seeing if they're being a bit of a nuisance in general. If your kids love fiddling with screens, or you've got a passenger that wants to know everything about what's going on in the car, this screen enables all of that for them. In terms of ergonomics and usability, this passenger screen is actually quite good. Easy to navigate, easy to use. However, the haptics over on the central screen can get a little bit annoying. The screen works as both a touchscreen and as a button where you sort of have to press to get an acknowledged command. Sometimes that can confuse the car, and if you've got new passengers in it, sometimes they can confuse the car with their inputs. Another thing I find quite trivial too is the fact that when you adjust the temperature, you get these wild strobing lights that go all the way through the car to let everyone know you're adjusting the heating. Now, knowing my kids, what they're going to do is sit there and press the button a million times like this and send all these colours all through the cabin to absolutely send me up the wall. So if you ask me, do I want my kids or passengers controlling the infotainment system? I'm going to say, no thank you. Aside from this absolutely dazzling 56-inch display, one of my favourite parts about the EQS 53's Hyperscreen system is the Burmester 15-speaker sound system. It is absolutely incredible, and you can calibrate it perfectly to suit your ears, which I'm going to show you right now. To enable configuration, we tap here, go to the cog to enable the Burmester sound menu. What we can do is tab between equalizer, balance and fader, sound focus, and sound profiles. In sound profiles, we've got 3D sound, which is a big broad sound, pure, which is one of my favorites, which is more of a stereo representative type of audio, and personal sound profile, which enables you to fully customize everything from scratch, which we'll do now. So to begin the audio setup, you start with a listening volume that you prefer. You next pick a listening volume for the higher ends that you prefer, and then the balance of the two. You may want more strings or more of a high end. You determine, you choose your own adventure. Next, you pick the volume that you find gentle, so you probably turn this right the way down for those lower end sounds. And then again, you pick a balance between either of those. Next up is percussion. You wind in how much drums you want. Plenty of snare or no snare. I guess if you're listening to Pink Floyd or Black Sabbath, you may want a bit of snare. Something like Prince or Madonna, you may wind all the way down. Next up, you can pick between 4 different profiles: bass, intensive, language, and brilliant, each of which has a very different soundscape that's suited to very different types of music. meaning if you like dance music, you may want a bit more bass. Classical music, maybe a bit more brilliant. Next, you can pick the size of the surround, so you can pick the sort of depth of it or the width of it. You can make it really broad or really narrow, depending on how you see fit. And lastly, you can pick a particular type of bass. Nice and punchy for those big drum kicks, or nice and gentle for some bass strings. After that, you pick the profile and everything is set just to how you like it. Now let's take a look at how you interact with the Hyperscreen as a driver. Mercedes-AMG uses this awesome 2-dial performance control system, which I think is one of the best in the market. What it enables you to do is pick what you wish to adjust and then adjust it on the fly with a couple of buttons, adding some performance sound if you will. You can also pick between each mode or scroll between each mode too and configure as you like. Incredible stuff. What I dislike are these capacitive touch switches up here. What you sort of got to do to navigate the trip is roll your finger gently over it. And sometimes the screen will get a bit confused and go up and down or do the wrong thing. And you've got to concentrate a little bit to use it. So when you're driving, it just doesn't feel intuitive. I wish they put some buttons here just to make things easier. It just feels a little bit overly complicated for no reason. So good down here, bad up here. That's what I honestly think personally. What we'll take a look at now is the adjustment of the 2 driver displays. I've got an augmented reality head-up display in front of me projected on the windscreen, as well as this regular display here. So what we can do is we can simply tab between each of the different settings. For the head-up display, you've got multiple settings. Augmented reality, which sort of paints stuff all over the road in front of you, an economical display, a minimal one, or even super sport in case you wish to drive really fast. There's also, for the bottom screen, a similar sort of look. Super sport for when you wish to drive really crazy, classic in case you like your old Mercedes-Benz more than your new one, or even a simple assistance mode that shows you where the car is in the lane and where the cars are around you. You can pretty much configure either screen as you see fit, and there is endless amounts of ability to change things. And lastly, we'll take a look at some of the linguistic ability of the MBUX Hyperscreen. Now the brand has spent a lot of effort making the system understand Australian dialect, and actually works quite well with its "Hey Mercedes" prompt.
How can I help?
Open the driver's window.
I'm opening the driver's window.
As you can see, it also works pretty well with simple commands. However, when you ask it something a bit more complicated, it usually gives you a pretty interesting answer. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Do you like BMW?
Close acquaintance. Mercedes even manufactured series car bodies for BMW in the 1930s.
There you go. The car taught me something new today. How's that for voice control? Alongside more simple commands like opening the window, it can also do things a little bit more complicated. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Show me the 7-day weather forecast, please.
Today it will be rainy in Sydney with a low of 10 and a high of 17 degrees.
There you go. If you're a busy executive and you miss the morning news, Mercedes-Benz MBUX Hyperscreen has you covered. There's no doubt this MBUX Hyperscreen will absolutely dazzle your mates, and it's full of incredible technology. However, there are a couple of gripes that have annoyed me in my time with the car. One is the reverse camera that doesn't come on when you pick reverse. How bizarre. I've played with the settings, I can't quite figure it out. And then another annoying thing to note is you probably want to keep one of these strapped to the dashboard, because you'll be forever doing this, keeping the screen clean. I know Mercedes-Benz use an aluminium silicate type glass to resist fingerprints, but it just can't be helped. Something else to note about this screen too is that it is a Mercedes-Benz pinnacle car. This is the most avant-garde system they make, the highest end. And to be honest, if it's successful here, there's half a chance we may see this filtering down into a C-Class near you soon. Mercedes-Benz love to show us the future, and I've got to say they've done a stellar job with proving that here today. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, because the more we get, the more chances are we'll do another video like this in the future. If there are any other complicated vehicle infotainment systems you'd like to know more about, let us know in the comments below, and we'll do our best to address those in the near future. And lastly, make sure you head to Drive.com.au to be kept up to date with the latest and greatest car reviews in Australia.